Hi, it's me, Trixie Mattel, and welcome back to the Pit Stop. And today we are recapping episode 5 of Canada's Drag Race. Now, it's the Snatch Game, and some of us have a checkered past with Snatch Game. So who better to actually help give us some insight into the Snatch Game than actually a Snatch Game professional legend, all the way from Florida, Ginger Minj. Meow, 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 meow.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm happy you're here because honestly, on my own, I have no business giving any critiques of the Snatch Game, but you're actually one of those people who doesn't really ever show up to the Snatch Game empty-handed.
It's always good to grab a handful before you go in anywhere.
How's your quarantine life going? I saw a picture of you in drag in your pool.
Why not? You have to wash the dress somehow. So it's been fine. You know, I've been trying to stay as productive as possible, but there's only so many times you can put on the pearls and rearrange the furniture before you get bored and decide to dive into the pool in full drag.
Well, we're in episode 5 here, and you've been watching Canada's Drag Race. Who's your favorite so far?
I think, like everybody else, I'm really in love with Jimbo. I think Jimbo just has such a warm personality, something that you could tell, like, everything that she says and she does is very sincere, and I really enjoy that. I also really loved Boa. Going into the season, she was one of the queens that I had the opportunity to work with a lot prior to the show, and I've enjoyed her drag, I've enjoyed her personally, and I think the one that I've really fallen in love with overall has been Priyanka. So those are like my top 3 favorites right now, but I don't think that anybody in this cast is weak. Like, I really like this cast.
Canada's obviously like a small world drag-wise. Everybody seems to kind of know each other, so it's a weird mix of like camaraderie and like having to compete against people you actually like or know.
I would liken it a little bit more to like going back into All-Stars. You know, everybody that turned the corner was somebody that you knew.
Yeah, when you know the people you're competing against, it's a little more, the stakes feel higher because everything feels personal.
Yeah, well, and you know their strengths and their weaknesses.
Well, that's the best thing about Snatch Game is, traditionally speaking, it's sort of the turning point of who's a serious contender here and who isn't, which is why I think Snatch Game is strategically put kind of in the middle. As we all know, if you bomb Snatch Game, you do go straight to hell. That's just part of the deal.
Or straight to the finale and you win the crown.
Or you just win, yeah. So coming into this episode, we just lost Tainomi in that iconic Avril Lavigne lip sync, which I'm bummed by because by the time Tainomi went home, she really had won my heart, and I was really bummed for her.
I thought she was fantastic, and I thought that lip sync was really, really good.
So Ilona almost refused to lip sync during that lip sync, and Priyanka kind of calls her out for it. What did you think about that?
I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I think that I can completely understand. We've all had to lip sync for our lives, you and me both.
At the same time.
Exactly. And you and I had gotten so close, especially during those few weeks right there.
That sucked.
I was crying during critiques. I was crying on the runway because I hated that we had had such a good experience together, and that was going to be the punchline.
I know, it sucked. It sucked. And I was crying because I had to lip sync against Ginger Minj, which is not really a good situation for anybody. But I will say, as much as that sucked, you're a competitor and you don't have a problem doing what you have to do. And I think that's what the girls found annoying.
I mean, I understand where she is coming from 100% because it does suck, particularly when you have to go up against somebody that you really care about. But you also signed up for a competition. And if you're not going to compete, then there's no reason for you to be there in the first place.
I felt the same. It was like, girl, I know it sucks, but like, what did you sign up for exactly? Brooklyn enters the workroom and announces that it's time for the mini challenge, which is the library is open. It's the Library of Canada, and it has officially been opened.
I thought it was really fantastic. I thought that a lot of them did a very good job. And even when they bombed, they saved it by being so endearing. That I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. I mean, reading is not easy. And let's just, a moment of silence for Rita Baga, who let Miss Brooklyn have it.
Well, I have to say, I am so, like, taken aback, but so in awe of the fact that these girls, they don't give a They read Brooklyn for filth all the time.
Well, that's something we talk about a lot on this series is there's a dynamic here that was never existent in American Drag Race, which is these are drag queens being critiqued by their peer. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest, Brooklyn's incredible. But that's their peer. Most of them have worked with her. And so it's a weird sisterhood of like, I'm currently in charge of you, but girl, you know we used to do brunch. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, it feels like RuPaul is mother, and she has left our oldest sister in charge while she's away.
Completely.
I think that's good and bad. She relates to them on a more personal level, I think, than Ru does.
She has more
with
insight,
us.
even.
Uh-huh.
Now, what was your favorite read? Because I had a favorite read.
My favorite read was actually Boa's when she called Lemon a coaster.
I thought that was so funny because it was so... How can it be so corny, yet I've never heard that before.
I've never heard it either, and it just... I think the reason it struck me as so funny was because I wasn't expecting it. And even when she said it, it took me a second to get it. And I was like, that's brilliant.
It was funny, yes. And also, I think somebody called Priyanka. She's like, yeah, you're stupid.
Lemon called her that.
I mean, honestly, they told Lemon she was coasting, and then she went up there and let those bitches have it. So you better work, Lemon.
I really haven't felt like Lemon's been coasting at all.
Me neither.
I think she's one of the front runners for me. I think she's really been very strong.
Completely.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, when queens say, I'm a dancer, and they're 21 years old or whatever, they don't usually have the DNA to succeed in like comedy challenges, etc.
Yeah.
And she does.
I don't think she's been coasting at all.
So we need to have a controversial yet brave and honest discussion about Snatch Game. You did it twice. I've done it once. I ask you, Ginger, what is the key to a successful Snatch Game?
Okay, so people get caught up in the fact that they have to look like these people and they have to sound like these people. That is not what Snatch Game is about. Snatch Game is about embodying the essence of the character that you're trying to portray and then having fun with it. If you're having fun, everybody around you is going to get in on it. Everybody wants to laugh. I did my research on Adele and I knew a lot about her, but I knew that I also had to take little tidbits, little pieces that stuck out to me and make them like blow up and just be really, really funny. My Adele was reminiscent of Adele, but not necessarily true to her character. But it worked because it had that little bit of honesty, and then I just got to have fun with it.
Do you think your Adele was better or your Tammy Faye? Because, I mean, they're both amazing.
I think my Adele was better because I had more fun doing Adele. I have better memories of doing Adele, and not just because I won, but just because I was excited about it. Tammy Faye was a really last-minute thing for me because I don't know if you ever knew, but during the Season 7 walkthroughs, Ru tried to convince me to do Tammy Faye. And then I didn't bring it with me when I came for All Stars 2, but she kind of made the same sort of comments during the walkthrough again. I was like, you know what? Let me just do Tammy Faye for Ru because I know that she'll appreciate it and I have a good chance of making her laugh.
So it's Canada's first Snatch Game. What do you think? Who's the favorites?
Can I say before we even go to the actual challenge, I thought it was so cool that they did that red carpet runway.
I thought so too.
That was incredible, and I think it should be implemented every single season because it gives you a chance to really see the entire look. You can see how much thought and detail they've put into the costumes. It gives them a moment where they're not necessarily being judged, that they can just have fun with it and kind of ease into the Snatch Game. I thought it was such a good addition. I loved it.
I loved it too. It really also made it seem like celebrities arriving to a celebrity event.
Yeah, absolutely.
I loved the JoJo Siwa. I mean, I love JoJo Siwa. Anybody who knows me knows that I love JoJo Siwa. I mean, the ponytail snatched too far back, the constant dabbing, it was enough that even if you don't know who she is, the choices are clear enough that like, this person knows what they're doing. I mean, Stacy didn't know who she was, and Stacy was like, oh, it's JoJo Siwa.
I have been a huge, not necessarily JoJo Siwa, but I've been a huge Dance Moms fan from season 1. I watched every season as it aired. It was my
Nobody's
thing.
ever done Abby Lee Miller.
Every person who has been on Dance Moms is such a character. I'm surprised we haven't seen anybody until JoJo Siwa, and she nailed it. It was spot on.
And then, oh my God, I mean, obviously the Joan Rivers was lit. Kind of makes you wonder why no one's done it, because it was really good.
I thought that it was like kind of scary how accurate her Joan Rivers was. She looked like her, she sounded like her, and she had so many quick comebacks. I was like, oh my gosh, she's back from the dead. I'm watching Joan Rivers.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really iconic. Joan Rivers is so amazing and so beloved and so specific. It's great that drag queens can really just reanimate her forever.
Well, it's because we're all made out of the same spare parts.
I mean, there was definitely some duds. Priyanka's was so bad.
Priyanka's was just nothing.
It was just nothing. It wasn't even strong enough choices to be bad.
That's what was so sad about it, because we didn't even get an iconic moment of being bad.
Yeah.
We didn't get a winner chicken dinner.
I know. But girl, let me just say, Priyanka, I have been there and I have done exactly what you've done, which is in real time, in Snatch Game, realize that you're in the bottom. Like, it starts, you know you've made a bad move, and you have no confidence, and it's just, I mean, I was Priyanka on Snatch Game, and I felt for her, because what a great choice. She could have done so much with it.
Yeah, well, Miss Cleo was nothing but a string of catchphrases. If she had just maybe gotten a few more catchphrases under her belt, just something that she could shout out at any moment, I think she would have been at least safe. You can't just sit there and say nothing. Your mouth has to keep moving, even if your brain stops. And that's why it's important to have a few key things that you don't even have to think about. You can just say them.
Right, or like running jokes, like especially being a psychic. There was so much you could have done with it. It's a bummer.
Well, like Fifi on All Stars 2, Fifi played Teresa Caputo. And she would do the thing where she would wait till they gave their answer and then she'd write it down. And then she'd say, oh, look, and she'd have her other answer scribbled out. So she made a very prominent joke out of the fact that she wasn't psychic. She didn't know what they were thinking.
She also could be constantly trying to be like, I know the answer. And for the low payment of $4 per minute, I'll tell you know what I mean? Like, she could have been trying to get money out of Brooklyn, which would have been fun. We know in your interviews you're hilarious. And we know you have a great character. It's just crazy how, without confidence, it doesn't matter how funny you are, that Snatch Game can just...
It just spirals, and then
it spirals.
Once you get that little bit of self-doubt, you stop listening to what's going on around you and you focus on that.
Yes, and it doesn't get better. You don't start Snatch Game week and get better. That doesn't happen.
No, well, that's not true, because look at Alona.
I thought that was pretty temperate the whole time. It was a safe Snatch Game. She never broke.
I thought that she started almost as a train wreck. Like, I mean, I could hear the rattlesnake noises queued up in the background, ready to go. And she saved it. And she turned something that started out very not funny to me into being one of what I thought was the stronger Snatch Game characters.
Scarlett Bobo really turned that Liza. That was like borderline a top Snatch Game.
It was so good. I thought she was giving me a little more Judy than Liza. And I would have been really excited if she had done Judy Garland, just because we've had a Liza, but we've never had a Judy at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm not saying there was anything wrong with her Liza, because I laughed my ass off. I thought she was hysterical.
Kiara Snatch Game. I mean, what a bad choice of a character to begin with.
Well, there's no bigger diva than Mariah Carey as far as the gays go. You know, like, we love Mariah Carey. So when you choose somebody like Mariah Carey or Lady Gaga or Beyonce, as we've seen on Snatch Games many times, it doesn't always translate, because there's like this untouchable air about them. They're almost too perfect, so they don't show their flaws that much. It's hard to make fun of perfection.
Yeah, that's why no one does me for Snatch Game.
And you also don't want to be remembered as the person who up a deity. You know what I mean?
Girl, T. You mean like going into Snatch Game and doing RuPaul, perhaps? Not a great choice. All right, so it's time for the runway, and the category is Night of 1,000 Celines. Ginger, do you live for Celine Dion?
Well, who doesn't live for Celine Dion?
Is there a drag queen named Celine Dion? There should be.
If not, let's adopt a child together.
Thank God.
We'll name her
That's what the world needs, more drag queens. All right, top of the runway, Boa, what do you think?
I love a fringe moment. I completely understand why they said they couldn't see her shape. I mean, it's a fringe dress. You're not really supposed to see shape in fringe, but being a shorter, rounder little teapot myself, I understand that it's important to think about the silhouette before you put something on. I don't wear a lot of fringe because I don't want to look like a car wash.
And when you do wear it, it's shorter usually and placed in sections.
Yes, I would never go out there in a full like Dirt Devil moment. Like
And also it's matte. It's like matte opaque fringe. There's not even, you can't even see through it. In drag, we're all having to work around things. You know, big muscly arms.
Furry little man hands.
Yes, even the most physically fit men, we don't have an hourglass without magic, pads, everything. Which, don't even get me started on the Canada Drag Race not wearing boobs or pads. Don't even get me started, Ginger Minj.
But Boa does, she cinches, she pads.
She sure does.
She has a great figure, and I don't think that she has yet learned how to dress it to where she feels sexy.
All right, up next we have Scarlett Bobo in this lovely champagne Celine moment. What do you think?
I'm usually really here for Scarlett's runways. I don't love this one. I think it's a pretty dress. I think that the fabric being shiny like that kind of cheapens the original look a little bit.
It also needed to be steamed. I hate to be that girl, but like if we're gonna act like it's the pageant, mama, it needed to be steamed. And sometimes with this Celine's, it ends up being like, why did you pick this of all the Celine's? Like, there's really not one backward suit tonight? Okay.
Well, and nobody got that white cloud moment that she did
right, or any of her weird, like, her weird fashion. Like, contemporary Celine is, like, full Bjork. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, here's Kiara. I'm just going to say how I feel about this. Very cute dress, and it looks just like the inspiration.
Yes.
She has that little figure to pull off a black simple dress and make it look like.
And she is beautiful.
But there's a lot of technique in snatching back a ponytail in drag, and the technique was not here.
That hair just killed it for me.
It's like an ash blonde. The sideburns are here. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I have to say that for Canada's Drag Race, a trend that I have noticed through the first 5 episodes is that the majority of the ponytail wigs look a little thin and a little crunchy.
It's a hard week to do Snatch Game like you did and then wear this wig. Like, ooh.
Yeah.
This is Rita Baga. Some choices were made here today, and I want to know, when did the hurt begin, Rita Baga?
I also want to know, is that the same wig that she used for for Edith Piaf?
It really could be. I have a few problems with both of these looks. The shape. Just the body shape in general.
It looks very boxy.
I don't know if I want to say this, but I know that Rita Baga is not that old. And I don't know what it is about her makeup and hair that makes it seem like she is 50.
It's a certain style of drag, and it's a style of drag that, you know, I was brought up with and I prescribed to for a very long time.
Same. It makes me think of, like, especially in Canada, like Quebec camp, sort of like beaded, and the type of drag where it's like Pride Parade drag. And I don't mean that as a read.
No, not at all. I completely understand where you're coming from with it.
Like, these were the drag queens we saw at 21 and we're like, oh my God, you know, we love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I still love it. I still think it has its place in time, but I don't think the runway is either of those.
This is a just okay runway, and she did such a great Snatch Game, so.
She did.
That Edith Piaf. What a wacko. I love when people walk in a Snatch Game and they're prepared to fully act a fool. And she was there to act a fool.
And I knew Edith Piaf's music, but I never knew who she was, really. I didn't know anything about her. So it was fun to kind of discover that through the filter of Rita Baga.
Up next, she is serving bitch Jimbo. This is a silhouette mom.
And it's the perfect way to elevate an outfit. You take the inspiration from the original and you make it better, and she completely did that. She turned it into a drag runway by making it sparkly and sequiny and a little more nipped, a little more voluminous. Like, I thought that it hit all the marks beautifully.
It's amazing. The shoulders being broad, the waist being small, and then it's kind of a jumper, like a harem pant. So far, we haven't seen Jimbo in this type of runway makeup. She looks great.
No, I felt like she looked very fashion-y. She looked like very fashion forward.
Now, is that a technical term? Fashion-y?
Fashion-y.
Yeah. If you plan on staying on Drag Race the whole time, it's good to have these moments where you show them a little more variety.
It made me gasp when she turned the corner, and I haven't had, up to this point in this runway, I hadn't had one of those moments of, oh, wow.
All right, we got Ilona.
I thought that the look overall was very cute, but it gave me more inspired by than elevated version of.
Exactly. This completely just looked like Ilona to me. Ilona, I think, has some of the best makeup on this season.
I wrote that on my phone. I was like, I just have to remember to say that her makeup is beautiful. I think she's beautiful.
Beautiful. And I mean, there's a lot of things I love about her. I mean, I know that we're making fun of her crying, but like, she's First Nation. She's beautiful. She's a great makeup artist. I'm sure she's watching this. Hello, girl. We love you. But she's lucky that she had a safe Snatch game, because this would not be a look that would pull her out of the bottom, let's say, you know?
Well, speaking of pulling it out of the bottom, when she turned around, it looked like she was wearing a diaper.
I don't want to be the shape police, but there's some shape issues here. It's the shoulders and the hips and the middle are one Lego, one block.
Yeah.
Can we do more of this? Celebrate any shape. And part of celebrating your shape is featuring what's worth featuring. You know what I mean? Now, this is a wow moment. This is Priyanka.
Yes.
Priyanka had the nerve to come in here in two looks that are probably one of the better runways, even if she just wore one of them. And they were both amazing.
She looked beautiful. It fit her from head to toe. She sold it on the runway.
I wish the wig was brushed.
She took that whole headpiece off, and I'm sure it got caught and it frizzed the hair.
I forgot about that. Sorry. That was unfair of me.
But no, it's not unfair of you, because those are things that you need to think of, and you need to figure out a way to do it where it's not going to mess up your hair, or don't do it. So don't apologize.
All right, so we find out the winner this week is Jimbo. Do you agree?
Yay! I completely agree, and I think it's time that Jimbo wins.
I'm happy for her. She had a good runway and a great Snatch game. I mean, come on.
Her interviews are so endearing. I think that she's just somebody you want to root for, and I do. I root for her every single week.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who's ever been like the weirdo, like, to be the weirdo in a room of drag queens means you are really weird.
Very
and
weird.
She is weird.
And she does it unapologetically, and I get behind it.
And you know what? I don't like the word weird, but like, what is weird? It's special. It's different. All right, so we get to the lip sync, and in the bottom we have our friends Priyanka and Kiara. Do you agree? I agree.
I don't agree.
Really?
I think Kiara definitely, because she had snafus during the Snatch game and on the runway. And as much as I love Boa, I feel like Priyanka's runway should have saved her from the bottom two.
You know, I think I agree now that you've said it, because let's be honest, they both had bad Snatch games, but Priyanka's runway was leaps and bounds.
Yeah, and like I said before, Priyanka's Snatch game, it wasn't even bad, it was just nothing.
It was nothing.
Whereas Boa's, to me, it was so over-rehearsed. It was one of those things, like we were talking about earlier, where she wanted to show that she had done her research, that she knew all about these characters, this, that, and the other thing. And it just sounded less like jokes and more like I'm reciting what I learned on Wikipedia.
Right.
And she led right out of the gate with the killing the mother thing, and there was nowhere to go with it.
It's a purposely... it's supposed to be a little shocking, and she tried to shock, but then, like you said, there was really nowhere to go.
If you're gonna do a character like that, then you have to be comfortable going all the way with it. You can't choose a character and then feel stifled by it, because that's nobody's problem but yours. If you think she's offensive, then you shouldn't have done her in the first place.
All right, so the lip sync is I Drove All Night by Celine Dion, which I think is the national anthem of Canada. Thank God.
If not, then it should be.
What do you think of the lip sync?
I thought that last week's lip sync was so good and so strong. I feel like this one was a million times better. It was so good. It's one of the best lip syncs that I've seen on any Drag Race for a very long time.
It was amazing.
I thought both of them nailed it. Like, they completely understood every nuance of that song. They sold it. They played off of each other. They played directly to the judges. They were feeling their oats. I was feeling their oats. I was here for it. I lived.
It was fierce. It was big dramatic gestures, mouth open for 8 measures at a time, because I never realized how much of that song is just Celine Dion like, which, yeah, it's a great song. Priyanka wins the lip sync. Do you agree?
I completely agree, and I would have completely agreed if Kiara had won the lip sync.
I feel Kiara was doing a lot more thrashing, and I think that Priyanka was having more soft moments of eye contact with the judges, which I think just gives it more dynamics. And when someone's behind you thrashing and you're in the front, like, it reads better, I think.
I would have tipped them both as much money as I had in my pocket if I was watching them live in a show, because I thought both of them were giving me something very different, but so good and so tight.
Ginger, it's such a kiki catching up with you. I have loved you since I first met you, and I'm so happy you could come on the program.
Oh, I'm so happy to be part of the program. I can't wait to watch it.
Watching the program.
My stories.
And thank you for watching the Pit Stop. Next week, we'll be back here on the RuPaul's Drag Race YouTube channel recapping episode 6. So I will see you then. Goodbye. Ladies at home who have nails like this, how do you put earbuds in? Do you use like a stick?
Just lay it on the counter and slam your head down.
Babe, get the stick. I live alone. Okay.
Do you want everything RuPaul's Drag Race at your fingertips? Then head over to YouTube now and subscribe to the RuPaul's Drag Race channel, and you will get all the episodes of everything you ever want, including brand new episodes of What You Packin'. Hi.